question that we have for our presentation is governed by this question, which is what is the dominant paradigm of choral music and whose interest does it serve? And I gave you at the beginning a sequence of slides that speak to the question of who's the big question, of course, which are one of the big questions is whose interests is choral music serving? Are we in fact doing that? So I'm going to go back to those slides and I'm going to just tell you what they are if they need any explanation. And that's the first is I'm not going to explain that to you because I think it's relatively obvious, as is that one. That's not in the third world. That happens to be the United States of America. But you see the same in the United Kingdom, of course. This could be anywhere, of course. We have 2.3 million people in prison in the United States. This is an elderly person, someone is dying. This is conflict in the Middle East. And these are just regular choirs. There's a Chinese choir, an Indonesian choir, this is my choir that I conduct, a South African choir, these are 2 European choirs, this is Voceslowike of Sweden. I googled conductor, I googled image conductor, and what I came up with was a white man in a black tuxedo. That's the first image. So that's that kind of thing. Is that the person who represents us? So can choral music, and that's the question, can choral music serve everyone? And if so, how might it serve everyone? Can choral music serve all those people we spoke about? And if so, how? I think of all of us as temporarily able, because at some stage of our life we're going to be dying, and do we want music at that time? At some stage of our life we could be disabled. At some stage of our life we're going to be troubled, depressed, mentally ill perhaps, if you're not already. And at some stage of our life we're going to need choral music in a way that might not allow us to be in a space where choral music serves us. And so, you can see that one day, if you're not already there, one day you're going to be there. Who do we include and who do we exclude in choral music? And sometimes we exclude by where we choose to perform. Because when we choose to perform only in spaces, typical concert spaces, concert halls, then we are making the decision to exclude certain people who can't be there, who can't come to a concert hall. Do we go out to people? And of course, since part of our talk is inclusion and exclusion, we talk about who and whose music we perform. Is it only music of a particular kind, of a particular century or collection of centuries? Is it of a dominant culture? Whose music? These are questions. These are questions that we have been exploring and led us to ask ourselves what defines choral music in terms of excellence. That brings me to this question. I feel sometimes we overestimate the reach of choral music. When you look at who we are including and who we are excluding, perhaps we sometimes, when we say choral music is for everyone, are we really serving everyone? And we underestimate its power. Because I happen to be working in 2 prisons and in a number of different situations, I feel every time I'm there, I feel the power of our work. And sometimes I feel we underestimate the power, because we are only working in very narrow situations. I'm going to hand over to Anna now.
Right. So I represent the Erik Erikson International Choral Center, and this center the foundation was founded in 2006 in the spirit of Erik Erikson, and with the purpose to develop and support choral singing both nationally and internationally. We are situated in Stockholm, on a beautiful island called Skeppsholmen in the heart of Stockholm. We also have this beautiful venue that we use for the concerts and different projects that we maintain. Sweden is a very strong choral country out of tradition, I'm sure you know. There's an estimated 600,000 to 700,000 choral singing people with a population of only 9 million. So it's quite a strong tradition, and a lot of people are involved. But it's also a very traditional way of looking at the choral world from, if we think about what André just said about including, and do we reach out, and who is joining the choirs in Sweden today. We were looking at how we wanted to develop choral singing in Sweden in particular, and see how can we do that, and what can we do which is not from a traditional point of view. How can choral music influence and perhaps even change the lives of the people who do not normally get in contact with this kind of music and these activities? So we felt a need to broaden our views, and in conversation with André in the fall of 2012, his proposal was to launch an international conducting course with this focus on social leadership and communication. So that's what we did, and that's how Conducting 21st Century came about. We believe that this century needs a new kind of leadership in this field of music. There are many choral conducting courses today, rather conventional master classes where you get to own the strokes and the characters that develop your musical expressions. And in this context, the C21C is unique. We want to combine the music excellency with leadership education, and to provide understanding and knowledge of how to, as both a conductor but also as a musician or choral singer, you approach people in groups in a consciously respectful manner, and also how to work with vulnerable groups in society. So this course was a 5-day course last summer, took place in August. Very intense days. We had 12 participants from 11 different countries from all over the world. South Africa and the States, Canada, from Europe, Israel. So it was a fantastic group of people during these 5 days. And the course was integrated with a larger symposium and choir festival called Music and Humanity. So the participants actually took part in the first day of the symposium and the second half day, and sat in and took part in the symposium's bigger issues, which was a great way to start the course. And then the conductors took part in the last 2 concerts, both as conductors but also as singers. So the concerts also constituted the course's final outcomes. This course aimed to prepare the conductors to be musical agents through change through aspiring of both social justice and artistic excellence. The course was for emerging and experienced conductors to gain expertise in working with people creatively and passionately. So, and some of the areas that they worked in were conducting gesture and communication, approach to socially responsible work, strategies for song leading, vocal and choral technique, and processes for intercultural collaborations. And we needed also, of course, some choirs for this concept, for the course. And we had two different ones. We had André's choir, Manado State University Choir, and the Swedish vocal ensemble Voces Nordique. They are both very different from each other, but they both have a clear desire to reach and touch their audience as a common denominator. So this year we're now planning for this year, the second edition of the course, and we're all very excited about it. We've had some really nice feedback from the participants last year. And this year it will take place also in August from the 15th to the 20th, and it will be announced on our web page shortly. C21C has had a ripple effect, and there's been interest from all over the world about doing C21Cs in different places, in France or Germany and Israel, to mention a few. We come furthest in our talks with Yale University and South Africa, and we are scheduled for doing C21Cs in this concept in those two places, which I'm very happy and proud to be doing. And also we're doing a smaller national C21C, a two-day course in Umeå, north of Sweden, during the Swedish Human Rights Days conference, where André will also be giving a lecture. And I'll just wrap this up by reading one of the reflections from one of the participants from last year. And this is from Jeremy Hanneman from Great Britain. He says, conducting 21C had a major impact on me, both personally and professionally. It enabled me to expand my range of conducting skills and gave me more confidence to find a lateral approach to rehearsals, incorporating more freedom and a creativity from the singers and allowing greater expressions of musical and social ideas. I learned a lot about power relationships between people and to be much more aware of the impact and the direction of communications within a group. I was very inspired to learn about the work that my colleagues across the world are doing using music to affect social change around them. The ensembles I work with have all commented on the beneficial impact of the course, and I have also set up new groups that are directly inspired by the wonderful experience of C21C. And we're going to just show you a 4-minute film from the course. Just click it.
2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can your fingers put me. Yeah. Okay, let's start again. Okay, yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4.
What we hope to do in this conducting course is to look for and to create new forms of dynamic and excellent, musically excellent leadership, as well as strongly human forms of interaction.
Okay, together.
My expectations have been completely blown out of the water.
Okay.
I found this to be an enormously transformative musical and spiritual experience, connecting with other conductors from all around the world.
And the relationships between conductor, choir, audience, society.
I think, and I appreciate the criticism that I got from you because it came from a good and honest place, and it was to make you better. I'm not in competition with you. I'm here to help you.
I really love the group dynamics. It's been amazing.
A few moments for questions or discussion. Yes, please.
I would like to know what kind of music do you sing with André, for example?
What the repertoire was?
Yes.
It was a very, very long and diverse list of repertoire. There was some Scandinavian music, there was some contemporary music, there was Bach, there was some world music, some African music. So it's a long list of 20 pieces or something. It's a very long list. Any other questions? So there was a handout, which I'm afraid there weren't that many copies of. So I guess we could ask Emanuela if she could make some more copies for you.
Or if you write down your email address, I could mail out the handout. You just leave if you got a card or something.
And you don't have to have questions, you might have reactions.
Actually, it's very interesting. I apologise first of all to take a message there. This chimes in very much with what Quadros was talking about yesterday in having looked at, over the years from Festival 500, looking at the different reasons for choirs, the different types of choirs now, which are proliferating internationally, that are more, and we need, therefore, conductors to be much more flexible.
Yeah.
And it's very, very, very important. It's very inspiring when you realise also how few people we reach.
Right. Exactly. How few people reach and how little the training and education of conducting, how little it does actually train conductors to be more than just excellent conductors on stage.
Maybe I should say as well that this year we take it further in doing outreach projects with the participants. So they actually go out we're going to have them, divide them into groups and have them going out to prisons or elderly people home or shelters. So they actually can use what they learn from the course and can use in real life. Because I think that's important as well, to actually get the connection immediately,
embedded
Mm.
that you will be okay with me as a participant, and also that I know that you're going to do a good job. It really came across to me
Yeah.
in a way that I haven't seen before, so I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, and also actually many of the class was, or the course was closed, so you didn't have people sitting in order to actually create this trust within the group, because it is vulnerable to participate in this kind of work and these kind of processes as well. And we're thinking about, because of course we'd like for other people to join, but maybe then we can do it differently. So we have some classes that are closed and some workshops that are open, so others can join. But I believe that's a good point, and I'm glad that you noticed from what you saw and what you heard that actually just in 5 days this group was so tight, and they seem like they've known each other for a very, very long time, and they still have a lot, they stay in touch and share the work, and so that's really beautiful.
Yes, I was going to follow that up, because it's very interesting that you pointed that, because what we did here is to recalibrate the relationship between conductor and choir, instead of this quite authoritarian sometimes relationship, and a relationship that's predicated on certain notions of power and authority. And so reconsidering that, how might we reconsider that? How might we be partners and collaborators when we start to work more creatively and imaginatively? And on the other hand, actually allowing that trust to work its way into the ensemble itself. So it's not sort of seeing us as a conductor and the choir, but as a collective. And to follow on from what Anna was saying, next year we are offering this course at Yale University in the US, and one of the points is that some of the sections will be open and some of them will be closed, so we can continue to protect this intimacy that otherwise an open conducting masterclass would not enable.
Sorry, but in the courses that I run in England, the choir is in general, the choir are the other conductors on the course, which is very similarly, and the emphasis, I think, more and more everywhere I hear people talking about conducting is just giving more trust to the singers, giving more power to the singers, but it's quite a difficult thing to do for some people who've been doing it for a long time. They always say, "Oh, my singers couldn't do that."
Yeah.
Well, I work in as I mentioned earlier, I work in 2 prisons in Boston, and in a men's prison and a women's prison. Anna has come and worked. We work together there. We hand over a lot of power to people in prisons, so I don't think it's a problem. You just have to. I think it's a problem of reshaping the brains of conductors, not reshaping the brains of singers.
No.
I think we're out of time. So
one more comment.
It's just a comment. It seems to me here more than in any other presentation that finally the most important is not the voice as we have it, but the body.
Yeah.
And it's very clear here in your presentation. It's not only a good thing, but it's all the implementation of the body in the fact of this thing.
Yeah, we call our work embodied work. It's embodied, so that in fact we work through the body, and the body is part of it, and allowing the body to express the emotion, not simply the voice, and that's part of the philosophy. One of the innovative things that was not evident so far is that we did something that other conducting courses don't do, is because we actually had André, who's a theatre person, but not only a theatre person, but somebody who works in the theatre of the oppressed. I don't know if you're familiar with this method, this approach. It's called Theatre of the Oppressed. It's based on Paulo Freire's pedagogy of the oppressed, but it's an approach to theatre and body work that is a liberatory approach. And she's not a musician and she's not a conductor. And that was great, having her teaching, because she came with a different lens, a different view of the human being and the relationships and so on. That wasn't very obvious from the film and from our discussion, but you pointed out something that was underneath everything, that we had this other dimension of work.
And I can actually just read from another conductor, Mariette. She said about Agneta, she said, Agneta Josefsson's observations were also important for me. After each interaction between us conducting students and the choirs, she would give us very objective feedback on what she observed with no judgment, without telling us if this worked well or if we should change that, but simply as a mirror. You said this and they answered that. This objectivity, so rare, was very precious. It helped me become aware of the different parameters that get involved when one communicates with a group that we want at the same time to listen to and to lead. So yeah, I think she was something new for them as well, but in a very positive way, but something they were not used to.
Well, thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Right?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.